What's good, sports fans? Are you ready to elevate your live entertainment experience? Well, let me introduce you to SeatGeek, an amazing platform that connects you to your favorite events while saving you money. With SeatGeek, you can easily find tickets for sports games, concerts, and so much more, all in one place. The interface is user-friendly, making it simple to browse and compare prices. And one of the best features is the interactive seating chart. You can see exactly where you'll be sitting and how much you'll be spending, ensuring you get the best value for your money. But here's the best part. Check this out. By using my promo code, ChalkItUpSports, you can enjoy a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. That's right, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Imagine catching that thrilling game or concert without breaking the bank. It's a win-win situation. Plus, you'll be a part of a community of fans who eat, sleep, and breathe live events just as much as you do. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app today. And don't forget to use my promo code ChalkItUpSports for a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. Get excited. Now let's get back to the show. What's good? This is your boy, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. You guys know what the vibe is. You know what you guys got to do here. Let's get some housekeeping out the way. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. The show doesn't move without the people, the content, all the notoriety, all the conversations. It doesn't move without you guys being active. So make sure you guys stay locked in and make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. Make sure you guys are smashing that like button. It is the lifeblood of this YouTube space. Nothing moves without that like button. Nothing moves without the subscribes. All right? So I appreciate you guys. Stay locked in, man. The content only gets better. Man, oh man. We got some things to talk about. And we're in good spirits right now, y'all. We're in good spirits. Do not let anybody tell you shouldn't be. Do not let anybody impose their will on you. Your Philadelphia Eagles are in a great space right now. Your Philadelphia Eagles are, let me make sure I got this right. You know, I've honestly been losing track of the wins, but the Philadelphia Eagles are 12-2 on the NFL season. There's 3 games left before the playoffs start. I'm super excited about that. The Philadelphia Eagles are locked into the playoffs. They have an opportunity to lock in the NFC East crown and their spot as the 2nd seed. So if the Philadelphia Eagles win this game this Sunday against the Washington Commanders, which I believe they will not only lock in the NFC East crown, but they will also lock in the 2nd seed. So at worst, the Eagles would be the 2nd seed going into the playoffs, but they still have a chance to get the number 1 seed. There's a 3-way tie for that right now between the Detroit Lions, who are currently on the decline, the Minnesota Vikings, right? I'm not sure how far they can go with Sam Darnold. He's never been in the playoffs before. And then you got Jalen Hurts led team, the Philadelphia Eagles at 12-2 as well. So this is going to be a very fascinating finish to the season. To add context, the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings will be playing each other at some point over the course of the next 3 weeks. So one of those teams is going to lose their spot, right? One of those teams will fall to the number 3 seed. Or as a matter of fact, because both of those teams are in the same division, one of those teams could potentially fall to, I believe, the 5th seed, right? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about this roster, right? And guys that are potentially coming back. So Bryce Huff, remember earlier in the season, I want to say that Jags game, the Week 9 matchup against the Jags game, Bryce Huff, he suffered a wrist injury in pregame warmups, and he didn't really play much in that game at all. I think, as a matter of fact, Josh Huff in that Jags game, he only played a grand total of, let's see here, he played 5 snaps in that Jags game, dealing with that wrist injury that he sustained. And then in the following game, in Week 10, he played 11 snaps against the Cowboys, and he played 13 snaps against the Washington Commanders. Now, it's evident when you look at his snap counts over the course of the season, they were beginning to decline because he wasn't as effective as other guys like Nolan Smith, like Josh Sweat, like BG before he got hurt, right? His snap count was going down because he essentially became a liability. But despite all that, despite the struggles at the beginning of the season, Bryce Huff started to figure it out, right? And I know a lot of people have their opinions about Bryce Huff. A lot of you guys could care less about him. A lot of you guys feel like we may be better off without him. A lot of you guys feel like we wasted money, whatever it may be, right? And look, at the end of the day, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Bryce Huff seemed like a interesting shot at the time. I think we all had our questions and concerns about it, and those questions and concerns held true, and then he got hurt. But even when he started to figure it out, Bryce Huff managed to accumulate 2.5 sacks, right? He managed to accumulate 2.5 sacks. What else did he get here? Some run stuffs, some tackles. He was starting to figure it out. As a matter of fact, his pressure rate was the highest it ever was this season in Week 7 against that New York Giants team. That's when he got, I believe, his first sack of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. But regardless, yes, so he got a half a sack against the Browns, and then he got his first full sack against the Giants. But Week 7 and on, you saw a drastic jump in his pressure rate. And he is due to come back. He's officially off of IR. His 21-day practice window has been activated. He's been limited in practice. So there's a strong chance we see Bryce Huff this Sunday. There's a strong chance we see Bryce Huff this Sunday against the Washington Commanders. Me, speaking for myself, I'm excited to get him back. Some of you guys could care less. I'm excited to get him back because it adds another body to the defensive line. It helps your rotation. It helps keeps guys like Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat very fresh. Jalen Hunt, it helps keep them fresh. And especially when you think about the fact that Nolan Smith is coming off of one of his highest snap count games. If I'm not mistaken, in that game against the Steelers, Nolan Smith played well over 90% of the defensive snaps available to him. And I believe that was a career high. So when you think about it from that perspective, you want to try to keep Nolan Smith as fresh as possible. Now, granted, Nolan Smith is a young player. Nolan Smith's his motor runs astronomically hot. Nolan Smith could run through a wall no matter if it's 12 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon. That man is always ready for wartime. So I don't want to say I'm concerned about Nolan Smith's motor or Nolan Smith's condition because I'm not at all. Everybody's in tip-top shape right now. You can see that with Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, I believe, leads defensive tackles or leads the entire NFL in terms of snap counts or snap count percentage amongst all defensive linemen. Jalen Carter is on the field the most out of all the defensive linemen in the NFL. Somebody, if you want to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure I saw a stat where I saw Jalen Carter was officially the most used defensive lineman in terms of his snap counts, right? And Josh Sweat, his motor's been running very well. Jordan Davis has been looking good. This entire defense, from a conditioning perspective, has looked very, very good. And they've had to play a lot of football. This defense has been on the field a lot, especially earlier in the season. And there have been moments where turnovers have happened. The defense had to go back on the field, on the short field, whatever it may be. This defense's conditioning is as good as it's been, right? So I don't want to act like that's a concern because it's not. But when you bring in Bryce Huff, when you bring him back, a guy who does have pass rush skills, I understand he has not given us his best so far from a production standpoint. I'm not going to question his effort because I can't speak to that. But his production has not been what we expected it to be. No one but the Philadelphia Eagles invested in him. That's a fact. I'm not here to cape for him. But what I am here to do is acknowledge that this man can be an asset to the overall mission. He does add a different flavor to the pass rush. And the main reason why he struggled earlier in the season, again, context and nuance matters when you're talking about football, right? There are guys who are, zero techniques. There are guys who are, strictly 3 technique guys. There are guys who are strictly, one technique, like 2-eye. Like, there are guys who operate better in certain situations, right? There are guys who prefer to stand up on the edge. There are guys who prefer to put their foot in the dirt or both hands in the dirt, right? 4 technique. Like there are guys who play the position differently and require different things in order for them to be successful. Bryce Huff is one of those guys that he's not really at his best when he's asked to, when he's not allowed to put his hand in the dirt. When Bryce Huff is allowed to put both hands in the dirt, that 4 technique, he's a different pass rusher. And you saw the drastic improvement in his pressure rate. Let me bring this up on the screen here because I believe you guys deserve to see this. Because I could show you much better than I can tell you. Right? So again, we're talking about Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff has been activated off IR. He's been limited in practice. His 21-day practice window has been opened. So there's a strong chance we see him. There's a chance we see him on Sunday against the Commanders, right? All right. So check this out, right? Let's just be objective about this and not be emotional. So as you can see, those first 3 weeks, Bryce Huff was a non-factor in the pass rush. He generated no pressures, no sacks. He was a non-factor those first 3 weeks, right? And then in week 4, he got a little bit of pressure. He got 1 pressure. And then in week 6, he got 1 pressure. He managed to get a half a sack off of that, right? So if you look at his pressure rate all the way to the right side here, you see 0% in week 1, 0% in week 2, 0% in week 3. Then it jumps to 4.2% in week 4, which is very low. Then it jumps to 5.9% in week 6 against the Browns. It's after the bye week, right? He managed to get a half a sack off of that. Then it jumps astronomically from 5.9% in week 6 to 27.8% in week 7. Now, one can say, well, Tone, that Giants offensive line is awful, right? One can say that, and I wouldn't disagree with you. Their offensive line is terrible. So that could be a legitimate reason why he benefited from that, why he was able to up his pressure rate. But what also changed was the fact that he was allowed to put his hands back in the dirt. Fangio was having this guy put his hands back in the dirt, right? And he managed to generate a 27.8% pressure rate. Then the Bengals game, and by the way, he managed to get a sack off for that. Then the Bengals game, he came back down to earth a little bit. That pressure rate dropped to 6.3%. Granted, Joe Burrow was a hard guy to sack. He's a guy that got the ball out of his hands quick. But they did generate pressure on him. It just didn't come from him. But then we get to that Jags game, right? Granted, he didn't play much in that game. But when he did play, he generated pressure 25% of the time. Then in the Cowboys game, he generated pressure 20% of the time. And in the Commanders game, he generated pressure 10% of the time. So his pressures, his best day as far as pressures go was the Giants game. But he has to find a way to maximize this so it can carry over on the back end of the season. And I'm sure he's going to be used in the rotation. I'm sure Vic Fangio is going to probably use him in obvious pass rush situations, but Nolan Smith has come on. So it is going to be interesting to see how they use him in various situations. But I'm of the mindset that Bryce Huff should be viewed as an asset. They invested $34 million in him. He signed a 3-year deal worth what? I want to say $51 million. He signed a 3-year deal worth $51 million, an average salary of $17 million a year. He's guaranteed the first 2 years. So we need to be hoping for the best as it pertains to Bryce Huff. We need to be hoping for the best. And need I remind you guys, after that Jags game, he wore a cast on his hand in week 10 and week 11. So whatever growth or whatever confidence he was building, it was stunted because he had the cast on, couldn't get a grip on the opposing offensive lineman, couldn't really dominate. But he did, if I'm not mistaken, he did generate a forced fumble. He did generate a forced fumble in that Cowboys game and managed to get a sack. So he was starting to come on. And then he got hurt, and then he elected to get surgery to fix that wrist. And he's missed week 12, week 13, week 14, and week 15. And the Eagles pass rush hasn't missed a beat. Remind you, the Eagles lost Brandon Graham in, what was that, week 13? Week 12. They lost Brandon Graham in week 12. So you lose Bryce Huff after week 11. You lose Brandon Graham after week 12. And your pass rush didn't miss a beat. That speaks to the dominance of Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith. That speaks to Jalen Hunt stepping up. That speaks to Milton Williams, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Thomas Booker, Moro Ojomo, right? That speaks to all those guys. All those guys have been able to generate a lot of pressure and get sacks without BG being there, without Bryce Huff being there. But you add Bryce Huff back in, again, he has to earn his snaps, right? He's got to earn it. He's got to prove that he deserves to be on the field because Vic Fangio's not putting you out there because you're making a lot of money. That's the one thing I love about Vic Fangio. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid. It doesn't matter where you were drafted. You got to earn those fucking snaps. It's just that simple. And Nolan Smith has been outplaying him. Nolan Smith on the season, let me make sure I got this correct here. On the season, Nolan Smith has, 5.5 sacks? Nolan Smith has been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. And then Jalen Hunt, he's the guy that's been making an impact little by little, right? With more opportunities, more snaps. As of right now, your sack leaders are Josh Sweat with 8 sacks, Nolan Smith with 5.5 sacks, Milton Williams with 5 sacks, Jalen Carter with 4.5, and then you got BG with 3.5, but he's done for the year. You got Zach Bond at 3.5, Nakobe Dean at 3, Bryce Huff at 2.5, Jalen Hunt 1.5, Jordan Davis 1 sack, Thomas Booker has a 0.5 sack, and Cooper DeJean has a 0.5 sack. So I believe Bryce Huff can help this football team. He provides depth. He's going to allow guys like Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat and Jalen Hunt, Milton Williams, all those guys. He's going to allow all those guys to be fresher, right? So I think we need to shift at least some of us, right? I think some of us need to shift our perspective when it comes to Bryce Huff. My man, Gentleman of the Culture, he says, did you just say Milton Williams has 5 sacks? Oh, yes, I did, my friend. Yes. Milton Williams has 5 sacks on the season. Would you like me to show you, big dog? I have no problem showing you that. Check that out. Milton Williams. 5 sacks. 5 sacks. You feel me? Having a phenomenal year. Milton Williams is going to get paid a lot of money. He's going to get paid a lot of money. So, again, Bryce Huff can be an asset in this game. He can be an asset. That's how I look at it. That's exactly how I look at it. Let's see what we got. Let's read some of these comments before we continue. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Let's see here. Big Chris says, Milton deserves an extension. Yeah, he does, but I don't know if he's going to get it here. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't think he gets it here. If he does, that'll be phenomenal. Milton Williams is going to make a lot of money on the open market. And the Philadelphia Eagles have yet to, as far as we know, have yet to offer him a contract. Now, granted, there's a chance that they probably did offer him something and him and his representation elected to say no. I have no inside information about that. That's me just making an assertion or making a guess, an educated guess, right? Howie Roseman and the Eagles, they love getting ahead on contracts. The Eagles have always liked Milton Williams. They've always felt like he had value. So I wouldn't be surprised if Howie did try to make him an offer at some point in the season, and Milton and his representation elected to say, no, we're going to get way more on the open market. And Milton Williams deserves to get his big payday, just like anybody else does. So I don't think Milton Williams will be back, because defensive tackles are getting wide receiver money now. And eventually you're going to have to decide, on Jordan Davis's contract and Jalen Carter's contracts, right? And you got to ask yourself, how much are you going to be investing in the D tackle position alone? And also you got to think about it from the perspective of, you did draft Moro Ujomo, who you like a lot, who has taken a step this year. You do have Thomas Booker, who you like a lot, who has taken a step this year. You did sign Byron Young, right, who I think is still on a rookie deal. So, again, as much as I love Milton Williams, I don't know if financially it would be feasible for the Eagles to pay him and then consider paying Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis a couple years down the line. And knowing Milton Williams, he's probably looking for long-term money, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Milton Williams is looking for, at minimum, a 3-year deal. At minimum. So we'll see how it goes with him. Nuclear Taco says, I wonder if Calais Campbell will fall to us when he gets released. We're not signing Calais Campbell. That's a useless signing. Big Chris says, I'd rather hear about matchups and injuries, not Bryce Huff. Well, Big Chris, you got options. Go find them. You got options. Go take advantage of them. Tony B says, he's talking to someone else. Tony B says, go Birds. Going to lock up the division this Sunday. Oh, we will. We will. That's a fact. We will. Mr. Carter says, what happened to the guy they got from Carolina to replace Huff? Well, they signed him after the BG injury. So you're talking about Charles Harris, I believe his name is. Charles Harris. He used to be on the Broncos. He was on the Panthers, I believe. He's had a decent career for sure. Left Coast says Huff got to earn his snaps. Yes, he does. He does. What's going on, Miss Fanny? Chevy B says he will be just fine. He was figuring everything out before he got hurt. The media dog walked him for no reason. Oh man. Ray Bailey. He says, bro, you can never have enough pass rush help, especially if he's effective. Yeah, that's pretty much my mindset, right? That's my mindset. He can only help us. Now, when you think about the money aspect of it, you get a little pissed off about it, right? You say, damn, $34 million invested in this guy, and this is what he's giving us. So we'll see. Ultimately, we'll see. But this Sunday, Eagles versus Commanders, that's going to be a fun game, right? Now, we know last time we played the Commanders, it took us a little bit, but we ended up ultimately putting belt to ass, right? We beat them 26-18, and if Jake Elliott makes all his field goals and extra points, we would have beat them 33-18. So we ultimately really controlled that game for the most part, and they weren't really able to have a steady or a consistent offense. And quite frankly, Jalen Hurts outplayed Jaden Daniels. That's just a fact. He was more accurate, threw for more passing yards, didn't turn the ball over, unlike Jaden Daniels. So, and he had a higher passer rating. Now, obviously, Jaden Daniels, his weapons don't compare to Jalen Hurts, but the way they was propping him up around that time, I couldn't tell. But nonetheless, though, it's going to be a fun matchup, regardless, because I look at this Washington team. And I see that they've sort of steadied the ship a little bit, right? When I look at their schedule, after they beat the Giants in Week 9, 27-22, they went on a 3-game losing streak. They lost to the Steelers 20-27 in Week 10. They lost to us 26-18 in Week 11. And they lost to the Dallas Cowboys in Week 12, 34-26. Excuse me. And then they got back on track. They beat the Tennessee Titans 42-19 before their bye week in Week 14. And then they managed to squeeze out a win against the New Orleans Saints in Week 15, beating them 20-19. The Saints fumbled the bag on that one. But 3 games left for the Commanders. They have us this Sunday. Then they got the Falcons and they got Dallas, right? The Falcons are a desperate football team. So the Commanders are going to have to bring their A game for that one. And the Dallas Cowboys, they're playing for pride at this point. So the Commanders can't sleep on them. They've already beaten them. So their toughest matchup is us that's remaining. And I have no concerns about this game. I have no doubt about this game. I look at Washington and I say to myself, they're coming along. They're growing. They're developing. They're a young football team, right? New coaches, new quarterback, right? They're building something. They're building something. And all you can do is give them credit for building. But when you're of the Philadelphia Eagles ilk, you're not simply just building. You're trying to win and win big. Your expectations aren't just to get to the wild card round, or your expectations aren't just to be second fiddle in your division, right? Your expectations aren't just to be relevant, right? Your expectations aren't just to be the best team in your city. Your expectations as a Philadelphia Eagles fan are to win the Super Bowl, right? So when you think about the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, they're not breathing the same air. Their goals right now aren't the same. You feel what you feel me? It's oil and water. We don't mix. We don't mix. Now, granted, they did make a move prior to the trade deadline. They did bring in Marshawn Lattimore. That does help them. That does help them for sure. Don't get it twisted. It does help them. But I got to be honest with you. I'm not intimidated by Marshawn Lattimore. I'm not intimidated by their defense. I do like that young corner they have, though. I forget his name, but they do have a young corner that I like. I like him a lot, actually. Let me see if I can figure out what his name is. I'm not too pressed about it, but I do want to give him his respect because I do like his game. Where is he? I think here it is. Mike St. Ristel. I think that's what his name is. Mike St. Ristel. That's a weird ass name, but he's a nickel in their offense. He's been moved to the nickel now that Marshawn Lattimore is there. And Benjamin St. Juice, he's food. So I'm not worried about him. But regardless, though, no, it's not St. Juice. It's not St. Juice at all. And it's damn sure ain't Forbes. It's that guy, Mike St. Ristel. Him. I like him. But again, the Commanders, cool story. It's a cool story for them, right? They matter now. I will say this, though. They are a team that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to keep their eye on, because I think Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. I like him too. I think he's a good quarterback. And I like him with Scary Terry. I wouldn't be surprised if the Washington Commanders make a play for a wide receiver in free agency, right? Maybe they make a play for T. Higgins. That's the word. T. Higgins is going to be on the open market. I highly doubt the Cincinnati Bengals will pay him. So it is going to be interesting to see what they do in the offseason, but that's what they have to look forward to, right? That's what they have to look forward to, the offseason. Us, we're aiming a little higher than that. We're aiming a little higher than that. But let's read some of your comments here. Twan says they think he can lock Smitty up. That's cat. Listen, he's a nice young corner. He's a nice young corner, but I think he gets a rude awakening this week. Kai Quarry says that rookie was in AJ pocket. AJ was frustrated. Yeah, that wasn't one of our best pass games either. But regardless, though, I will give him credit. I'm not going to dismiss him. AJ had 8 targets, 5 catches, 65 yards in that game. So that wasn't a game where AJ was able to go off. You know what I'm saying? Smitty didn't have his best game either. So, look, that overall wasn't our best offensive output. But again, I'm not going to dismiss what he did. He played them well. He played them well. But he will be reminded of where he is. Let's see. As Blunt says, there was a good debate I heard this morning that Daniels is having a better season than Hurts and is someone you want as your quarterback long term. That's fine with that's fine. That's okay with that. That's good for them. That's good for. I like my guy. I like my guy. You see, you got to be careful, man. These national pundits, you know, they get enamored with the sexy. They get enamored with, ooh, I love the way he throws that football. Oh man, I love the way he delivers the rock. they get enamored with that kind of stuff, right? Because that's all they can really talk about. They don't really study these teams in depth. Oh man, I love the way Jordan Love throws off that back foot. Like, you know, oh man, Jordan Love, man, they get so wrapped up in all that kind of shit, right? Instead of the bottom line, right? Who's winning football games? Who's putting their team in constant positions to win, right? You feel what I'm saying? So, look, man, Jayden Daniels is a good quarterback. I won't dismiss his growth. He's a good quarterback, but listen, man, at the end of the day, you got to win football games. You got to win. You got to win football games at the end of the day, right? Who cares how good you can throw a football? Who cares how pretty it looks? You got to win football games. You got to win football games. You got to be considered a threat. But Washington is in a good place right now. They're in a good place. And Jayden Daniels has changed their fortune. He has elevated their organization. His presence alone has made that organization respectable. But we'll see. See, here's the thing, right? You know, people get wrapped up in that rookie year. They get wrapped up in it, right? But you always got to ask yourself. You always got to ask yourself this. You got the young quarterback on the rookie deal now. You better make the right decisions early. Because if you don't, eventually you will have to pay him. And then you're going to have to figure out how you will allocate resources. You see, it's easy to build around your quarterback on a rookie deal. It's easy. It's easy. Trust us, we know. It's easy. But when that money starts kicking in, when those contract talks start to happen, then we start to find out who the real good GMs are and who aren't, who the real good organizations are and who aren't. You feel what I'm saying? That's why these teams are forcing these young quarterbacks to play right away. That's why they're not really trying to develop them. That's why you see more bust at the quarterback position than ever before, because these organizations are forcing these quarterbacks to go out there and play now because they're trying to maximize a window. They're thinking about the financials. Their mindset is, if we can win big, while we got this guy on the rookie deal, we can build around him, which is true. But this is a 32-team league, and it's very competitive. And every year may not be your year. Trust us, we know. So the challenge comes in, can we sustain success once we pay our quarterback? Can you sustain success? Can you draft well? Right? Can you make the right decisions in free agency? You see, we've been so spoiled by a guy named Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman is so stellar at his job. You would think that it's the norm around the league. You would think that it's easy. But when you see these other organizations and how bad they fumble the bag, a la the Giants, a la the Chicago Bears, right? When you think about these organizations who had opportunities to do it right, they made the wrong decision. They weren't focused on the right things. It looks easy because Howie Roseman is a mastermind. But it ain't. And Howie Roseman is one of one. There aren't many GMs in this league that can do what Howie Roseman does. There aren't many. I think about Brett Veach in Kansas City. I think about the GM in Baltimore. He does a really good job. I think about the the Rams GM. He does a great job. They draft well. That defense is young. They're coming. Right? Who else? A good GM in football. I said the Rams GM. I think his name is Les Snead, right? And the Baltimore Ravens GM, Brett Veach for the Chiefs, Harry Roseman, right? Once you get past that, now you're starting to figure out, okay, who the GM in Green Bay is decent, pretty good, right? So it's not easy to do Buffalo. The Buffalo GM is pretty good. The Buffalo GM is pretty good. But again, right, we're talking about upper echelon. Right? Lynch in San Fran, right? So there's only there's levels to this, right? And Harry Roseman is of the highest of the high. So I just look at the Washington Commanders and I say, hey, listen, you got a new GM, you got a young GM, right? Hopefully he makes the right decisions. You know, Joe Shane for the Giants, he looked like a genius at first a couple years ago, right? And then one or two bad decisions fucked him. And look where he is now. I bet to lose his job. So all it takes is about one or two bad decisions to knock off the trajectory of your organization. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And you also got to have an organization. You got to have an owner who's patient with you. That's another thing Harry Roseman has over a lot of GMs. He has one of the most patient owners in football. Well, patient when it comes to him. So, anyway, this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a good game this Sunday, right? Because it's a divisional game. And the Washington Commanders, they have talent sprinkled in, right? You know, a guy I'm going to be looking at in this game is Brian Robinson Jr. Because Brian Robinson Jr., he was talking, I think, he was talking on the radio or talking on whatever podcast, and he said things he was supposed to say. You know what I mean? Like, Brian Robinson didn't say nothing he wasn't supposed to say. He's supposed to believe Washington is better than the Eagles, which we know in reality they're not. But he's supposed to believe that. He's supposed to say that. He's supposed to instill confidence in his guys. He's supposed to feel that way. So I'm not going to kill Brian Robinson for saying the Commanders are better than the Eagles. I'm not. He's supposed to say that. What do you want him to say? That they're not better? You want him to act scared? No, he's not supposed to do that. So even if he doesn't really believe it, he's supposed to say that. He's supposed to say that. Right? They got guys like see, I'm looking at their injury report right now, right? I'm seeing Jeremy Chin. Let's bring this up on the screen here. The Washington Commanders injury report. I'm seeing Jeremy Chin, questionable with a concussion. He was limited in practice on Wednesday, so he likely will be back. Deron Payne, he's questionable. No details on the injury. Michael Dieter, their guard, questionable. Sam Cosmi, guard, questionable. Zach Ertz, questionable with a concussion. He was a non-participant in practice on Wednesday, so there's a chance he may not play. You know, the league is very selective about their concussion protocol. Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle. He was placed on IR. Let me try to get more details about this. Let me get more details about their injury report. Let me try to do that. But yeah, Washington has some players I like. They got some players I like. But not having Jonathan Allen is huge. Let's see here. Commanders injury report. All right. Let's get some more details. All right. Washington Commanders reveals second injury report before Eagles game. The Washington Commanders are getting healthier ahead of their marquee matchup. Let's see here. All right. Let's keep it going. All right. Ahead of the matchup, here's how Washington's injury report looks. So as far as non-participants, Sam Cosmi, guard with an illness. Tight end John Bates, illness. Linebacker Dante Fowler, with a groin and for personal reasons. A limited participant. D tackle Jonathan Allen, pectoral. Tight end Zach Ertz, concussion. Safety Jeremy Chin, concussion. Center Michael Dieter, ankle. Defensive end Cleveland Farrell, knee. Wide receiver Luke McCaffrey, shoulder. DT Deron Payne, back. Wow. So here's the thing, right? It says here Zach Ertz seems to be making improvement with his concussion, as he was limited on Thursday after being a non-participant on Wednesday. So there's a chance Zach Ertz may play. There's still a chance. They say he's making progress. He's making progress. But having Deron Payne dealing with a back injury and Jonathan Allen dealing with a pectoral, that's tough. Those are the two guys that stand out to me, even more so than Zach Ertz. If they don't have Deron Payne in this game, again, a back injury is tricky. Back injuries are very, very tricky because sometimes you don't know exactly what it is. And a guy of his size dealing with a back, I don't know, man. I don't know. But regardless, we'll see, though. Zach Ertz still has to pass the official concussion protocol. Like my man S. Blunt said, it's not up to the team. It's up to the independent neurologist. It's up to the independent neurologist. So if they don't have Zach Ertz in this game, Jonathan Allen or Deron Payne, that's a huge loss. And then Jeremy Chin with a concussion. Man, there's a chance. I'm not saying it's a fact, but there is a chance that they be without Jeremy Chin at safety, Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne at D tackle, and Zach Ertz at tight end. Those are some big losses. Those are some big losses. But I'm not a doctor, and I'm not as plugged in on this organization as some other content creators are, right? So I'm just going off of the injury report, and I'm going off of the nature of the injury. And I just know back injuries with big guys like that, you try to tread lightly. And Jonathan Allen was on IR. I don't know if he comes back this week or the following week. And then Zach Ertz and Jeremy Chin with concussions, that's not up to the team. That's up to the independent neurologist. But they have time. Today's Thursday. If they can figure out how to pass it Friday and Saturday, whatever it may be, then they'll be a go. But to be without those four players, to even have the possibility of being without those four players, that's not a good place to be in. That's not a good place to be in at all. Let's read some of your comments here. Fly Eagles Fanatic says most people don't get through the concussion protocol in a week. Nobody has. I'm with you on that, by the way. Nobody has. The league has cracked down on it. There was a point in time where teams were able to kind of finesse it a little bit, but now that they have these independent neurologists, if you suffer a concussion, they want you to sit out the following week. That's how they look at it. That's how they look at it. The league is very particular about those things. Spa City, he says it don't matter. He's gonna be handcuffed. Big Chris says, who is their number 2 wide receiver? You see, it's funny you say that. A lot of the fans in Washington, they want it to be Luke McCaffrey. They feel like he's better than Diami Brown and all those other guys, right? But, you know, it's really all about Terry McLaurin. Everybody else is food. Big Chris says, we don't want to hurt you, Ertz. Stand down. Oh, man. Shout out to Zach Ertz, man. Shout out to him. Philly legend. Spy City says, so Saquon might drop 200 on them boys. It's possible, man. Ray Bailey says Chin is not out. He was limited yesterday. Yes, we've established that. He's not out officially. He's limited. But because of a concussion, it's not up to the team to decide if he plays or not. It's up to the independent neurologist. So it's all going to be relative to if he passes the concussion protocol test on either Friday or Saturday, right? No one is saying anybody's out. No one said that. We're just acknowledging the injury report. We're acknowledging the nature of the injuries and how the league has treated concussions historically. We're using our context clues. All right. Cam Macbeth, he says Saquon going for 150. Hey, I hope so, man. I low-key want him to break that record, but not at the expense of his health. So we'll see. Spy City says that mean them gaps gonna be so big you could park a bus in them. We'll see, man. Again, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, those guys are very, very. They're really good players. And Deron Payne is dealing with a back. He's limited, so we'll see if he plays. And Jonathan Allen, I think he's coming off of IR with the pectoral. We'll see if he starts this week. S. Blunt, my man, he says Allen was expected to be out for the year, but he's back earlier than expected. He should be back for the playoff run, just not our game. Okay. And you may be right, S. Blunt. Like you don't want to force a guy like that back, right? You don't want to force him back right off IR. You don't. Let's see. Spy City says that line won't be the same without Allen. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully he plays for their sake. Kai Quarry says Eagles defense doesn't cover big tight ends well. Ertz being out will definitely work in our favor. Well, Ertz isn't really considered a big tight end, but I understand what you're trying to say, though. As Blunt says, Allen is in the 21-day window, so it's likely he won't be back for us. Yeah, very, very possible. Very possible. Very possible. All right, let me get to these super chats. I appreciate you guys for donating to the channel, man. Shout out to my man Davon Tyree. Shout out to Warv and my man B Moore. Davon Tyree, he says Dominique Foxworth is a wild ball. Man, listen, man. He is a wild ball, man. Look, I think we all know that he was trying to make some kind of version of a joke, that whatever he deems as a joke, right? I think we all know he was trying to make some kind of joke here. But the reality is, all good jokes, well, that wasn't a good joke, but all jokes contain true shit. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows all jokes contain some semblance of truth. You feel me? And then when you got your wife on your show on national television talking about how, oh man, Jalen Hurts is so mature, you know, he's so handsome. And when you got your wife doing that on national TV in front of you, man, you look crazy. That's why he tried to clap back at Philly the way he did. You know, he came at the Liberty Bell, which me personally, I don't give a fuck about the Liberty Bell. Sorry, I never have. He tried to come at our transit system in SEPTA, right? We all know SEPTA is a shot in the dark, right? SEPTA is like, you know, one of the most annoying transit systems in the country, right? But I grew up riding SEPTA. I grew up riding the bus and riding the sub and all that kind of stuff. So look, man, when you from there, it ain't nothing to you. You feel me? He tried to come at our parking authority, PPA. I will agree, PPA is the worst. Philadelphia Parking Authority is the worst. I can't stand them. And what else? He tried to come at Love Park or whatever. Like just you know, he was grasping at straws. I know the signs of a man that was embarrassed. I know the signs of a man that's embarrassed. You can hear the tone in their voice. You can hear the inflection. You can hear the speech pattern. You can see their eyes fluttering. I know the signs of an embarrassed man. And when your wife goes on your show 2 separate times discussing how fine or how attractive, no pause, how attractive another man is, and he just happens to play for the Philadelphia Eagles, your cousin's rival in Dak Prescott, yeah, I can understand how it makes you upset. I could understand how it leads to some weird conversations being had at home. I can understand. I can understand. I mean, she wants Jalen Hurts the tush pusher. You feel me? Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, look, you could tell we got under his skin. You could tell we got under his skin, yo. We made him upset. A lot of y'all made him really upset. And some of you guys should say sorry. Some of you guys should say sorry. His feelings got hurt. And it don't help that he got to go home and have that conversation with his lady. What y'all think that conversation was like, too? Let me ask y'all this. What do y'all think that conversation was like? Right? How do you think that conversation went at home? Your wife is talking about how attractive another man is in front of your face on national TV, and then you go on a separate show discussing how this same man has pretty privilege and all this kind of stuff. You look funny in the light. You look funny in the light. And again, he says it was a joke, and I actually believe him. I believe that it was a joke. But like I told you guys, all good jokes contain true shit. All good jokes contain true shit. Trust me, I know. So like, look, man, I personally believe he was joking. I think he was joking. But it's one of those jokes like, hey, listen, you ever around homies, right? Some of y'all may know this. You ever around the homies and everybody joking, right? This person said they joke. That person said they joke. This person said they joke. And there's always that one person who said the joke that kind of just fucked the vibe up. Give me a thumbs up if y'all know what I'm talking about. Give me a facts. Give me a thumbs up or give me a facts if you know what I'm talking about. You know, it was always that one person in the crew that got to mess the vibe up because they making suspect jokes. You feel me? There's always that one person. We all joking, yeah, you know, we all jonesing. You know, we all cracking on each other. And that one person said the one joke that everybody like, what? It's that record scratch moment. Everybody joking. Whoa, my man, what's up with you? What's up? Pause. Like, so I do believe he was joking. I do. But is that the joke you want to make? Is that the joke you want to make? I don't know. You know, it was comedy for me. And the funny thing about it is, you know, we've seen Jalen Hurts has wore that chain before. Plenty of times, actually. He's just not gaudy with it. He wears it when he wants to wear it. He wears it when he's feeling icy. You feel me? Jalen Hurts has worn that chain before. The national media just happens to get their eyes on it for the first time, right? But I will say that shit was shining a little different, wasn't it? I'm a bird, y'all. Leave me alone. I'm a bird. Them diamonds was dancing. Them diamonds was dancing. Oh, man. Shout out to my man Davon Tyree with the super chat, man. I appreciate you. Let's get to the next one. War with the super chat. He says, they're going to move Scary Terry around and try to get him involved early and often. I'll be there to watch this ass whooping in person. Yeah, they're going to try. As a matter of fact, they're going to try to move him off of Quinyon Mitchell's side. They're not going to put him on Quinyon's side. This is what they're going to do. They're going to try to get that ball out of his hands quick. You're going to see a lot of crossing routes. You're going to see a lot of drag routes. You're going to see you're probably going to see slants, some comebacks. You know, they're going to try to get that ball out of his hands quick, but more than anything, they're going to try to establish their run game. They're going to try to get Brian Robinson going. If they can't get that running game going, they're cooked. Shout out to my man Ward. B Moore with the super chat. He says, Tone, we don't care who is in or out. Play ball. Facts. I feel you on that. I don't care who playing. Anybody can get it. I feel you on that, B Moore. Thank you for the super chat, big dog. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. You guys are tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. Thank you guys for locking in. My man Soul on Wax with the $20 super chat. Thank you, my man. I really do appreciate it. He says, how does Daniels get sacked 8 times last week? Can our D-line get some of that this week? Let's get this W either way. I think we can. Which is why, which goes back to my point, I think they're going to try to get that ball out of his hands quick. They're going to try to get the ball out of his hands quick. They're going to try to get that running game going to try to slow down that pass rush. Expect quick passes. Expect play action. Expect them to lean on Brian Robinson to open things up. Expect it. Fully expect it. But, and again, like you said, Soul, when you get sacked 8 times, they're going to make an overcorrection. You may see max protection, right? You may see an extra tight end in there blocking. You know it ain't going to be Zach Ertz blocking because he can't block worth of shit, and we love him, but he can't block. So expect an overcorrection by the Washington Commanders. The Eagles' pass rush has been one of the best in the NFL, right? When you got guys like Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter and Josh Sweat and Milton Williams playing where they're playing, you got to make sure you're ready for that. So fully expect an overcorrection. Fully expect them to try to get the running game going early. Fully expect them to have quick passes. Fully expect them to have play action so they can slow down our pass rush. Expect all of that. Expect all of that. Thank you for the super chat, Soul. William Johnson with the $20 super chat. Thank you, man. He says, good show, Tone. It's clear that some people can't say why they hate Jalen. Heard a reporter I do respect say today that Jaden Daniels had a better season than Jalen, and it's not close. Make it make sense. Listen, man, I'm past the point of trying to reason with these people, right? They have their favorites. They have their favorites, right? And they have guys they just don't like, you know? And that's okay. I'm not here to change nobody's mind, man. I'm really not. I could care less what these other guys think, if I'm being honest with you, William. I don't care if it's somebody I respect or I don't respect. I don't care what they think at this point. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. When it's all said and done, when kickoff starts, what the media says, what a reporter says, whatever top 10 lists people have, top 5 lists, whatever, all those lists, all those articles, all those opinions, even my own, it goes out the window. You know, once those guys touch grass. Once they touch grass, all opinions go out the window. Now it's about getting physical. Now it's about putting hands and feet on people. Now it's about imposing your will. So, William, thank you so much for the super chat, bro. I don't care about other people's opinions at this point. I really, really don't, man. I study this team. I'm locked in on this team, as you guys all are. We know this team. We know our quarterback better than anybody. Nobody can tell us different. So if somebody prefers Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts, that's fine. That's fine. That's their prerogative. No pun intended. That's their utmost right. The good thing is there's 32 starting quarterbacks in this league. Pick your favorites. It's all good. Pick your favorites. But at the end of the day, your favorites or how good they throw a football doesn't determine if they're qualified. Doesn't determine if they're capable of winning the big one. Doesn't determine if they're capable of leading a team to the playoffs, right? Case in point, Justin Herbert. Talented quarterback. Has no intangibles. Has no leadership qualities. Can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Talented, though. But do you trust him if you're down by a touchdown or down by 10 points? Do you trust him? Do you trust him? No, not really, right? So, again, choose your favorite quarterbacks for whatever reason you like them. Disrespect Jalen Hurts for whatever reason you want to. It's okay. It's whatever. It doesn't make or break anything. You want to know why? Because at the end of the day, we know the truth. We know the real. And we know what Jalen Hurts and his team is capable of. And when he wins it all, it becomes moot. It's a non-factor. It's a non-starter. Thank you for the super chat, William. I appreciate you. Scotty the man. He says, and thank you for the super chat. He says Foxworth made Flavor Flav look like Shamar Moore. Y'all funny as hell, man. Y'all had that man in his feelings bad. Y'all had him in his feelings bad, man. He crashed out on TV. He crashed out. Thank you for the super chat, Scotty. Fanny with the $2 super chat. She says they should use Rodgers as a punt returner because of his speed. It's funny you say that. Like, I don't know how much I want Cooper DeJean back there returning punts. He took a pretty rough hit in that Steelers game that I didn't like. You know, it's not even about the fumble, but he took a pretty rough hit. He was taking a couple rough hits in that game. So I don't know how much I want Cooper DeJean back there returning punts, knowing that we need him on defense. So I would tread lightly with having him back there. I don't know if Rodgers is the answer, but I would tread lightly. All right, let's keep this thing going. Donnell Shipley with the super chat. Thank you, my friend. He says, it's funny people hating on Hurts, but won't talk about him beating every quarterback in the NFL that they call elite. You know what's so funny, right? All those quarterbacks that they say that they would take over him, he's beating them. He's beaten some of them multiple times. So my thing is, would you rather have the quarterback who throws the prettiest ball, or would you rather have the quarterback that constantly beats that quarterback? I'm asking for a friend. Would you rather have the quarterback that throws the prettiest ball, that fits the mold, right? Would you rather have that quarterback? Or would you rather have the quarterback who may be a little bit unconventional, who doesn't throw the prettiest ball, but damn it, every time you play those guys, he wins? I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking. Do you want the winner? Or do you want the beauty queen or the pageant queen, whatever it is, right? Talk to me. Do you want the prom queen, or do you want shorty that's going to be making 6 figures plus every year, maybe 7 figures? Talk to me. Do you want the solid 10 with the BBL with nothing that brings nothing to the table? Or do you want the solid 8 who has ambition that come with her own money? Talk to me. Talk to me, man. I'm just saying. Do you want the solid 10 with the BBL that don't come with no money? She just along for the ride. Or do you want the solid 8 who comes with her own bag, her own business, could put you on game? I'm just saying. So I'm just saying. And need I remind you guys? There's not much of a difference, really, a drastic difference between a 10 and an 8. The difference isn't really drastic between a 10 and an 8. So you got to ask yourself what you value more. You know what I mean? Do you value winners? Or do you value people who just look good losing? Like, you know what I mean? Do you value winners? Or do you value people who look good losing? Shout out to my man, Donnell Shipley. William Johnson back again. He said, real talk, brother. Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for the super chat, William. I really do appreciate you, man. Really do appreciate you. Thank you, big dog. Scotty back again with the super chat. He says, offense was our best. He says, offense was our best defense last game. Limit possessions. That's a good point, Scotty. That's exactly what Washington's going to try to do. They're going to try to run the ball, take up the clock. That's why it's going to be so important to get them off the field in 3-and-out situations, right? And you got to be mindful. Jaden Daniels is running the ball a little bit more now. He's healthier. So he's going to take off if need be. So we're going to have to contain him. I'm going to have to contain him. And Scotty back again with another one. he said, baddies only, Tone, like my girl. But I get you, though. I get you. Oh, man. Shout out to Scotty. I appreciate you, man. Oh, man. Rab21 says, I'm back. I had to watch that mic'd up video. Or they dropped another mic'd up. I love mic'd up. I'm actually going to watch it after this. Yo, Big Chris. Yo, Big Chris, what's wrong with you, dog? Yo, somebody get Chris some milk, man. Yo, Chris is crazy. He said, I could control the 10 more if she broke. You out of pocket. Somebody talk to Chris, man. He losing it. He losing it, man. He's losing it. Shout out to Big Chris, man. Kai Quarry says, nice cleanup, Tone. I'm just saying, there's no real difference between an 8 and a 10, really. No real big difference. The Big Ten Repper says, those Philadelphia unscripted be fired too. Bro, I love unscripted. I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles have the best media team in football. There's no football. I'm willing to bet that the Philadelphia Eagles media crew is better than any media crew in the National Football League. I stand on that. I stand on that unequivocally. The Eagles media team is top tier. Top tier. Find me another one. The Eagles invest so much in their PR. They invest so much in their media and their YouTube channel. I love it. You can just see it in the cameras. You can see it in their press conferences. You can see it in the special effects and the music they use, the lighting. You can see it in just like, you can see it. You can see it. The Philadelphia Eagles have the best media crew in football, period. Cam McBeth says, did you see the new Superman trailer? I did. And look, you guys, because I'm about to get out of here real soon. I'll give you guys my opinion on the I'll give you guys my opinion on the Superman teaser. So visually, it looks good, right? Special effects look good, right? I always prefer a darker tone when it comes to my superhero movies, me personally. I always prefer a little bit of a darker tone. Maybe I'm just obsessed with the whole Batman like aesthetic, right? I always prefer darker tones. That's just me. But it looks good. I gotta be honest though, I've never been a fan of Superman in the trunks or the tight or the underwear thing. I've never been a fan of Superman wearing the red underwear, right? That's just me. What else? I think the actor they got looks the part. I'll say that. I think the actor they chose looks the part. Now, I will say this though, right? He looks like a skinny version of Henry Cavill. He looks like a skinny Henry Cavill. So that tells me Henry Cavill wasn't really the problem. You just felt like aesthetically he was too buff. You felt like Henry Cavill was too buff for Superman. They wanted a leaner Superman basically, because that dude looked just like Henry Cavill to me. Am I tripping when I say that? By the way, Man of Steel is the best Superman movie ever. I don't care what no one says. I'll argue up and down. Man of Steel is the best Superman movie I've ever seen. The best Superman movie I've ever seen in my life. Man of Steel was the best. Doesn't get enough credit. Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan bodied that. Bodied it. Mr. Carter says, this new look looks too kiddie for me. That's how I feel. I understand, like, superheroes and stuff is supposed to be for the kids, but I'm sorry, man. We the ones paying for them tickets to adults. We the ones filling up those movie theaters. Like, I don't like my superheroes looking too cartoony. Even though I like cartoons, but if I want to watch a cartoon, I'm going to watch a cartoon. But But I don't like my live action superhero movies looking too cartoony. That's why The Batman with Robert Pattinson is phenomenal. Phenomenal. The Batman, like Robert Pattinson as the Batman, as Bruce Wayne, I liked it, man. I love the Batman. I love the Batman. And the Penguin was phenomenal. The Penguin was phenomenal. Phenomenal ending to the Penguin. I love that Gotham. That was one of the dopest Gothams I've seen. You feel what I'm saying? Cam Macbeth says they might have thrown too many people in there. I never knew Superman had a dog. Oh yeah, crypto, bro. Everybody know about crypto. Crypto, yeah. Now here's another problem I have. Right, Scotty says the Batman movie was too long. Not for me, man. I loved it. It wasn't too. Pause. That movie, like the time length of that movie didn't bother me. The time length of that movie didn't bother me. Sweet Chin Music says, I never saw the Batman. Too many damn Batman movies. Bro, watch it. Watch it. The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Listen, I was concerned. I was concerned about the Batman with Robert Pattinson. I was like, Robert Pattinson is Batman. I was concerned. But when I saw it, listen, I went to the movies to see it twice. And I've watched it at home like 3 or 4 times. I love that movie. I love it. I love the way Gotham looks. I love how gothic the city is, how dark it is, how noir it is. I love the fact that they really leaned into the detective side of Batman, right? You know, one of the best car chase scenes I've seen in a superhero movie. One of the best car chase scenes I've seen in a superhero movie. One of the best. And notice what I said though. Not one of the best car chase scenes I've ever seen, but as it pertains to superhero movies, comic book movies, that was one of the best car chase scenes I've ever seen. One of the best. Now, in my humble opinion, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. But I will say this. As far as in movie history, now I'm about to make a hot take. Maybe it's not hot, who knows? But maybe tell me if y'all feel differently. Just tell me if y'all feel differently, okay? In my opinion, because I watch a lot of movies. Some of you guys may agree with this, some of you guys may not. The best car chase that I've ever seen in a movie was The Matrix Reloaded. The Matrix Reloaded has the best car chase scene I've ever witnessed in my life. I'm sorry, I put The Matrix Reloaded over the Dark Knight one. The Matrix Reloaded car scene was insane. With Trinity on that motorcycle, are you kidding me? Are you Trinity on that motorcycle? Morpheus on the truck? With the agents? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Like, maybe some of you guys haven't seen it in a while. But really think back to that scene. Trinity on a motorcycle. She was driving in opposite traffic with a motorcycle with the keymaker on the back. Morpheus fighting the agent on top of the semi-truck. The handoff, the way Trinity handed off the keymaker to Morpheus. Morpheus put the samurai sword in the side of the truck. Stood on the samurai sword. Swung the keymaker up onto the top of the truck. Are y'all kidding me? Like, yo, what? What? I love that scene. Tenet was a fire car chase scene. That Tenet scene was tough. That Tenet scene was hot too. What else? The Dark Knight carts, the Dark Knight ones are fly too. I can't even lie, man. I can't lie. My man said Tokyo Drift had the best one. But Scotty, hear me out on this, right? Hear me out on this. Is it really fair to include movies that are all about cars? Like, the whole movie is them in cars. So it's kind of like, ooh, Gone in 60 Seconds was a good one. Gone in 60 Seconds was a good one. Listen, man, it's a lot of good car chase scenes, man. It's a lot. But anyway, Eagles Commanders this Sunday. I believe they play at, let me check out the time, right? I believe they play at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Time. It's always fun talking to you guys. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you, Davon. Thank you, War, my man B Moore, Solon Wax, William Johnson, Scotty the Man, Fanny, Donnell Shipley. Thank y'all so much for your super chats. Also, thank all of you who have been locked in on the channel the way you guys have been. It means a lot to me. Make sure you guys keep smashing that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I'm going to get out of here. It's been real, and I appreciate y'all. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. You guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the gang.